Hanging signs can fit far less text than their non-hanging counterparts, unless you're playing the Bedrock edition, of course, in which case they can fit the exact same amount of text, it's just slightly smaller on the hanging equivalent. This is very strange, but it's not as strange as the differences that the Camel has on the Bedrock version versus the Java version of 1.20. It's the same update, but they behave very differently, and there's a whole bunch of other tiny things like that that are just slightly different from Bedrock to Java. And obviously we know Bedrock has exclusive features, but they've clarified they don't want to continue adding these, so what is the deal with that? And also, what is the deal with the release of this update? That's another important thing that we'll dive into with today's video, right after the weather gets better, because my god is it terrible. Anyway, with that said, let's move on from winter mode to talk about 1.19.50.21. It is the Bedrock beta that came out a few hours after the Java snapshot, and it's the exact same update, just with slight changes like this right here. And I want to talk about hanging signs first, because they are the weirdest equivalent of this. Hanging signs are one of most people's excited best things about this update, and as it turns out, the way you make them is very, very different. If I go into the inventory right here and type a sign, you can see just how huge that was. Shall I show you that one more time? If I want to make myself a hanging sign, it takes up, what, like 40% of the screen? This is huge, you could say. In fact, wow, you could say huge with an extra U if you wanted to. It goes off the side of the sign a little bit. Kind of nuts if you ask me. Whereas on the Java edition, it's this tiny little sign in the center of your screen that is clearly designed to show something. We actually have an explanation for this one. According to Minecraft developers, it's just a parity thing. They forgot to add that change to Java, to Bedrock, I should say. Maybe they made it at the last minute for the snapshot on Java, or maybe they were going to make it like Bedrock, but they decided not to. Either way, it meant they released a slightly different update depending on where you play it. Super, super strange in my opinion, and yeah, it's something that presumably they're going to fix. I do think that the Java equivalent is better, because even though getting more text on a sign is what people want, look at this hanging sign up there. Can you read it from here? It's more like an eyesight test than a sign. You have to get really, really up and close to actually have an idea of what it's saying, and I don't think that's how signs should actually work. Even from here, it's kind of hard to see in my opinion, and yeah, it is also worth mentioning. I don't think I said this in my Java snapshot video. You can of course put glow whatnot on there if you want to, and you can also put your die on there, and wow, isn't that visible? I think it's proving a very good point. Also, another weird thing about hanging signs, you can walk on the top of them, but the bottom part of the sign is still like invisible. You can just stand in the middle of it, I should say, jump into that non-stop, but the top will still block you underneath. It's very strange stuff, but Minecraft is a strange game, I guess I should say, because they just added camels. I mean, camels are a weird mob. It goes without saying. Have you ever seen a camel in real life? I mean, I learned recently they really do eat cactuses in real life. Here's a gif of them doing that. It looks horrifying. You'd figure the spiky bits would get them, but whatever, it's a thing they do in real life. So in Minecraft, they have not only this exact same love for the cactus, which who does not, but also they have the ability to be walked on and do all these nice normal things, but there is a weird difference between the Java camels and the Bedrock camel, namely the fact that Bedrock camels can't go up a single block, as you can see right here. It's actually kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Like, obviously they should be able to do that. If you turn on auto jump, you can go up a block really easily, but camels are just not able to without using their big jumping attack. If you want to climb, say, a mountain, you're going to have a really terrible time doing that on the Bedrock version of the game. Seriously, look at this. You got to do a jump, and then you got to do another jump after your previous jump has cooled down, and you can't do very many of those. Speaking of, by the way, if you pay attention to my jump meter, compare it to the Java edition, and although it looks kind of similar, the difference on Bedrock is it's got a red way of letting you know it's cooling down versus purple on Java. I really wonder how these art differences are slightly made, because, you know, I understand that, for instance, this box right here has a black background on Java versus a clear background here on Bedrock, because for some reason, you know, transparency hasn't been worked out on the Java edition, but Bedrock has it. But yeah, I don't understand why something like a mob can't go up a block. Which, by the way, he can do it himself, it's just me that can't do it, which makes it even more clear this is a bug, whereas on Java, they can climb up to 1.5 blocks, which is super, super great. So that is clearly a bug that's going to be fixed. I think this one is in favor of, you know, like, they're going to make it more like Java, whereas the previous one, they could go either way. I imagine that Java's probably more on the right there. Less text on sign does make more sense, in my opinion. But yeah, I think camels are a super weird mob. I like them a lot. I mean, look at this. Isn't this the cutest thing you've ever seen? This is very much a parity mob in lots of ways. It's just missing one key factor. Speaking of one key factor, another thing that's really really, really strange is the bamboo raft has a different texture depending on if you're playing Bedrock or Java. So as you can see, it's not different by a lot, but it's like higher resolution on Java, whereas on Bedrock it looks terrible when it's in your inventory. Only in your inventory does the raft, whether it's got the chest on or not, look slightly different, and I don't know why that is. It feels wrong. It feels like it's not meant for Minecraft, and I don't know how they would make that mistake, assuming it's a mistake. Also, by the way, I have a question. You know how mobs get trapped on boats? To me, that doesn't make perfect sense, but you can kind of see it. How do mobs get trapped on rafts? Why are his feet trapped in the boat? Like, it makes the least sense to me that, like, because again, I can understand mobs being kind of stuck in place on a regular boat, but on a raft, it doesn't make any sense. This isn't a Bedrock Java thing. This is just I think rafts are very strange, and their purpose hasn't been fully explained unless it literally is a retextured boat, in which case that's very strange too. But speaking of very strange too, we've got one more super weird difference. So these are fence gates, right? In real life, they look all exactly the same. Can we agree? This is spruce, oak, this is bamboo, and this is warped. Every single fence gate looks the same. I would have placed them all down, but I didn't want to place 8 fence gates. You know, this is a high budget YouTube video, and of course I'm kidding. Anyway, we can all agree these look the same in person, right? I mean, there's a slight difference on these two, maybe? Or maybe I'm imagining that, but they look all roughly the same. In the inventory, however, take a close look, and they all have the exact same texture, just recolored, besides the bamboo fence gate. Now, what makes this confusing is the bamboo fence gate is not the mistake. The bamboo fence gate is the only one with the correct texture. If I show you these side by side, why does the texture in the inventory not have the little hole right there, whereas the texture in real life does, but not for the bamboo? It's incredibly confusing. I really don't get it. Look at this. You see that in my hand? That's a fence gate. That's not a fence gate. That looks like a sign, honestly, like a hanging sign, if I had to say so. And if they were going to fix it for the bamboo, does that mean they're going to fix it for this? This is a Bedrock-only fix. They have not done this on Java Edition. Why is that true? I really can't tell you. But what I can tell you is about 1.20's release date. This is something which a lot of people want to know, because they can see the update now in the form of snapshots, betas. By the way, the beta on Bedrock is called 1.90.50.21. I feel like we're going to have to address that right now. Why is it called that? I mean, you probably saw it earlier in the video, and you're confused, like, wait, why is it 1.19? And it took me a while to work this out too, because 1.19 betas were called 1.18 point whatever, and although it's really confusing that 1.20 betas are called 1.19.50, the actual explanation is that obviously, if they want Minecraft to run on the versions and always update to the newest one, to update from this, if this was called 1.20.01, that would be mathematically ahead of 1.20.0 when that releases, whereas 1.90.50 would update you to 1.20 when that comes out. And yeah, that, in other words, they need to make it less than 1.20, and 1.90.50 works just fine. I think 1.19.99 might get the point across better, but, you know, I am but a lowly pleb. I do not develop Minecraft. I can just comment on these super weird things, and also the release date. So let's talk about that, the big topic of when is this update coming out. All we officially know is, of course, that it's coming in 2023. That is a 365-day window. Notably, it's a 365-day window that includes 365 of the next, like, 420 days. So, you know, like, it's a very, very, very big window to actually look at. When is the update coming out within that is honestly interesting enough by itself, because regardless of when it's coming in 2023, unless it's January or February, this is going to be an update that is the 1-year development cycle that they used to do. In fact, 2022 will be the first year with one update in it since 1.16, and before that you have to go all the way back to the aquatic update, the start of these major yearly themed updates. So it is a really big deal that they're going for one update in a given year. And, you know, that year clearly is this one with the wild update, but that was a shorter development process, whereas this one will effectively be, if, you know, they released the wild update in, like, May, June, so that means they're going to have roughly a year, maybe even longer, to release this update. And that is what makes this development cycle so fascinating, because as of today, as of this beta you just saw, this Java snapshot, they have delivered every single one of the features that they said they would at Minecraft Live, with maybe the exception being those skins, but, you know, it's every single single feature you care about from Minecraft Live. And so now the question is, okay, now what? They have roughly, what, like 8 months, maybe more if they want it, development time ahead of them, and they've delivered everything that they said they would for this update. You know, maybe you could argue they've got lots of things that are like in the promised at some point in the future pipeline to work on, but now they can actually work on whatever they want for up to a year. This is our first time since, you know, like 1.12, where as a, you know, public, there is, internally there is a theme that has been confirmed. Internally, there is likely a release date. They're not just going to tell people, you know, work as much as you want this year. That's a poor way to run a company, and I doubt that's the internal plan. And so that means that we know that it is very likely they have some form of internal release date, some form of internal theme. We have no clue what that is as a community, and so we could receive nothing for between now and 6 months from now, or we could see the most eclectic bunch of features that all fall under the very broad banner of making Minecraft Minecraftier. And here's the question that effectively makes this kind of like an unthemed update right now. It's even called the Unnamed update on the Minecraft channel's official thumbnails. And so if you look at all of that information, will that make for a good update? They've got the time. They've got the, you know, they finished all their promised features because they deliberately only promised 4 or 5. And now they've got, you know, the free reign to do whatever they want. Is unleashing the creativity of Mojang developers going to create the best update since a 1.13 or 1.16, whatever you think the last big, amazing, slam it out the park good one was? Or do you think it'll go the opposite way? Do you think we'll have like a 1.11 where there's features that are really significant? I mean, Woodland Mansions aren't that great for everyone, but everyone loves shulker boxes and firework elytras. So is it going to be an update like that, where it's really significant, but it's not as hype? Or are they going to manage to hit significance and hype and long-term impact and everything else? That is the question, and the mystery at least has a lot of people asking questions. I know for one that my wish list is, you know, like fletching table, something to do with that ancient city portal. I would love to see anything to do with those, but again, we have no promises. We just have to see what happens week by week, update by update, as they work their way through this development cycle, and I'm so incredibly curious because it could go literally either way. Whereas the wild update, the whole time we're like, well, hopefully this gets better, you know, like less okay. Whereas it stayed pretty okay the whole way. I feel like the Never update and, you know, like Aquatic update were like pretty highs the whole way through. Where is this update going to take us? That's the mystery we got to work out. Thank you for watching this video. I'm going to be streaming later today. I'd like it if you checked it out. But if you don't, you know, I'm not the boss of you. Hope you subscribe anyway, because I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Bye. A lot of people have been subscribing, which tells me there's a lot of people who are watching Minecraft video. You know, I'm not gonna... That buy was good. Just vibing on my camel. Oh, that's great.